She watched silently as their brother Norman quietly slipped out of the big bed they all shared. He tiptoed across the floor to the bedroom doorway, then pulled the curtain back. He could see their mother arguing with her common-law husband, Boleslaw Domko, who came to their farm as a hired hand just over a year ago. Now they had a baby together, and that's who they were arguing about this time. Norman couldn't understand everything they were saying, since they spoke mostly in Polish, but he could tell by their anger and the occasional English word that Domko was accusing their mother of something. They argued furiously, prompting Norman to let go of the curtain, then tiptoed to the bedroom window. He carefully lifted the metal rungs, pausing at the sound of the loose window panes rattling. Once the window was open, warm summer air filtered into the stifling hot bedroom. Feeling the breeze, he noticed how serene it was outdoors. The sun shone golden pink from behind the forest as it set slowly in the western Manitoba sky. Mosquitoes buzzed loudly while the family's cows stood grazing the damp grass in the nearby pasture. A dog barked excitedly somewhere in the distance. As he slid back on the crowded bed, the smell of urine wafted up, and he could feel the warm dampness of the mattress on his bare legs. He shot a disapproving look at his twin brothers.
"Rosie did it,"
David whispered.
"Uh-huh,"
Dennis nodded. Norman rolled his eyes. Probably one of them did it, but it didn't matter. The bed had been peed in so many times it was still wet from the night before. It wouldn't take long, and he would warm up, and soon the smell wouldn't bother him either. "Shh," Eunice whispered again. Norman looked at the twins, whose bright blue eyes pleaded for help. Physically they were identical, big-boned and healthy, but too thin. Their wild blonde hair was bleached white from the sun. David was aggressive, with lots of energy and an independent thinker who often made their mother laugh. Dennis was quiet and always went along with whatever David did. He was sensitive and soft-spoken, preferring to sit on an adult's knee rather than play with the older boys. Dennis seemed to annoy their mother, who was not very generous with hugs and kisses. Eunice was the family interpreter, since she was the only one who understood the twins' strange language, a jumbled combination of Low German and fabricated words. Nobody cared what they said except Domko, who was oddly preoccupied with their jabbering. If he were in a good mood, he would chase them out of the house, so he didn't have to listen to them. But if he were in a bad mood, he would beat whichever one he could catch. That afternoon, Norman had worked alongside Domko and watched him grow increasingly irritated as they picked rocks out of a field and stacked them in a pile. His older brothers, Walter, 11, and Stephen, 10, were beaten the day before for not milking the cows properly, so they had run away. That might be what annoyed Domko this time, but he couldn't be sure. Norman wondered if his older brothers felt as bad as he did about leaving the younger ones behind. The children listened as their mother calmed Domko, and soon everyone began to relax. Rosie stopped crying, and Eunice dozed off, while the twins shifted their bodies in unison, causing the bed springs to creak. As the house grew quiet, Norman fell asleep with one leg dangling off the bed, his foot resting on the floor. It wasn't long afterward that baby Kathy started to cry. At first the sound was muffled, but soon turned to wailing, and the fighting started again. This time, though, Domko was instantly angry. He complained that the baby made too much noise. Their mother picked Kathy up and began pouring water into a washtub for a bath. She argued that the baby's stomach was cramping because she needed whole milk to drink, but that all he would allow her to have is skim milk. The children cowered in the bed, expecting Domko would come raging into the bedroom any moment. He hollered that the children cost too much money to support, and their mother shot back that the farm was hers and that he was the intruder. They could hear her trying to give the baby a bath. Kathy's little arms and legs thrashed in the basin, splashing water onto the worn linoleum floor. The baby's wails were